never heard of a killer? I drop bombs like Hiroshima.
So I said, look at LeakYou video. What the fuck is LeakYou? Is it like a site? What's LeakYou? LeakYou. Is it a YouTube channel? Oh shit. Oh, all right, bet. Here we go.
Please hit the like. Thank you.
One, two, three, four.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. I hope you're having a really good week. I know someone that's not having a good week. Excuse me. And that would be rapper Pooh Shiesty. There's been a lot of rumor circling since January on this story. And I have not came out and reported or talked or discussed this story with anyone because there wasn't an actual source, that was actually coming out and discussing this. And that is, there's been a lot of rumor the last 4 months that rapper Gucci Mane was robbed back in January. Number one, it's pretty insane to think somebody would rob Gucci Mane because we all know Gucci Mane's reputation. Okay. So that's just number one. Okay. But it appears that is what has happened. Very much so a coordinated armed robbery and kidnapping being alleged. And why these people want to come to Dallas, to Texas more so, and do these types of things, I'll never know. I don't know why you all think that we are not the most avid death penalty state in America, because we are. Not proud of that, but it's true. People get hard time here. You can be a first-time offender, and I'm from Texas. You can be a first-time offender and get a life sentence in prison in this state. Federal authorities have arrested Pooh Shiesty, his father, rapper, CEO Big 30, 7 others. Okay, we're going to go through the information and we're going to take a look at the press conference that was streamed live about an hour or so ago. I have not watched it yet, so I'll be watching it with you guys. So I want to see, I want to hear what the federal authorities are saying, okay? I want to hear what they're actually saying. They came to the mic, okay? Did a whole presser about 11 a.m. this morning, Pacific Standard Time. But what is the deal here? Let me go into a little detail here on what actually happened. Now, this is breaking news, and it's also breaking on Dallas news stations. I've seen WFAA, Fox 4, okay, discussing this, DallasNews.com. Those are our main newspapers, our CBS News affiliate out of Dallas, they are all, you know, breaking this news as well. And it started yesterday. This all started yesterday when Pooh Shiesty's father's house in Memphis was hit by the feds, flashbangs. All of that, you know, occurred essentially. And we kind of got wind yesterday that something major was going down. Something really major was happening, but we got the confirmation this morning, specifically. Now, it is alleged, and I'm just gonna, you know, tell you the allegations right now before we go into looking at the press conference. But rapper Pooh Shiesty, who just got out of federal prison 5 months ago, he hasn't even been out 6 months. Now, keep in mind, there is some history here, okay? There is some history here. Pooh Shiesty, who's been on Gucci Mane's record label, 1017, had a cousin named Scar. Scar passed away a couple of years ago. And Scar, who was also a rapper, was also on Gucci Mane's 1017 label. When Scar died, Pooh Shiesty was still in federal prison, okay, for a different set of crimes a couple years ago, about 5 or 6 years ago. When Scar died, his family did not like the way Gucci Mane handled the death of Scar. Specifically, there was a lot of back and forth about Gucci Mane covering the funeral costs for Scar because he was on Gucci Mane's 1017 label. Now, again, Pooh Shiesty and Scar are family members. They grew up together. Pooh Shiesty sitting in locked up in the federal pen. His cousin dies. He's also on Gucci Mane's label. Matter of fact, he's the one that got Scar onto Gucci Mane's label. And he's sitting and watching all of this take place. And there was nothing he could do about it, okay? There was a lot of back and forth with direct members of Scar's family with Gucci Mane in regards to, his death and him, paying for it. And Gucci Mane actually put $10,000 down on his funeral costs. And some people just did not like the way it was handled. And apparently Pooh Shiesty didn't either. I think that's a lot of the root of where a lot of this came from. When he got out, I mean, listen, just think about this for a minute. He gets out of prison and he is expected to go and drop more albums for Gucci Mane, okay? And he wasn't, I don't think he was feeling it. When he dropped the video with Glorilla, I knew then there's some real beef happening. Yo Gotti, who owns CMG, who also is affiliated to Glorilla out of Memphis, Tennessee, where rapper Pooh Shiesty heralds from. We seen them in a video together, making a music video together. CMG definitely wants to sign this young man. Pooh Shiesty I would say he's number one on the rap scene right now. He gets out, he drops his FDO, first day out, music and the video, and I mean it bangs, okay? I think this is also a lesson, okay, of learning to people moguls who have record labels, who expect people to overcome personal feelings and still convert or do what is necessary to fulfill the contract that they signed with said label, with that mogul. At some point, there was no way this was not going to be some sort of a personal issue between Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane. And we can see that as the very first meeting between the two after Pooh Shiesty gets out of prison turns into a kidnapping and armed robbery. Gucci Mane should be very happy that he is actually alive today. Okay. Now, briefly, rappers Pooh Shiesty and Big 30, 7 others charged in this violent Dallas studio armed takeover. The victims were reportedly lured to this meeting to discuss a contract release, only to be held captive and, in one instance, choked to near unconsciousness. The suspects were linked to the crime through electronic monitoring and social media, as Pooh Shiesty was already in federal home confinement at the time of the robbery. Now, Pooh Shiesty, government name Lontrell Williams Jr., you'll be seeing it everywhere today, and Rodney Wright Jr., that is the government name of Big 30, have been charged with armed kidnapping, robbery, and a slew of other charges. They are facing life in prison. They're facing an alphabet letter. Okay. Now, back on January 10th, it is alleged that 3 music industry professionals traveled to Dallas for a meeting that was arranged by Pooh Shiesty to discuss his recording contract. And according to federal criminal complaint, the meeting was just a ruse for a coordinated armed takeover that was executed by Pooh Shiesty and the other 8 conspirators, including his father, folks. Yeah, including his pops. His pops has also been charged, and we'll hear some more about that here momentarily, but prosecutors are alleging that once the victims were inside the studio, Pooh Shiesty produced an AK, a Drake, as they call it, and held them at gunpoint, forcing one of them to sign a release from his recording contract, and we know that to be Gucci Mane. The other defendants, including Pooh Shiesty, also displayed firearms and robbed the victims of jewelry, cash, Rolex watches, and of course, it wouldn't be anything if one of them didn't come online and make a post and a photo with the jewelry on, right? It is alleged that Big 30 barricaded the studio door to prevent victims from escaping, and another victim was choked to the point of near unconsciousness. Now, at the time of the robbery, Pooh Shiesty was on federal home confinement, on house arrest, had a monitor on his leg for a prior firearms conspiracy conviction out of Florida. His father, Lontrell Williams Sr., is also charged and is alleged to have helped plan and execute the kidnapping, including renting a vehicle that was used by the group. Now, how did investigators link with physical evidence Pooh Shiesty and his group to this robbery? Well, numero uno, folks, the electronic monitoring device that goes around people's ankles has GPS in it. Yeah, man. There's GPS locate in every single one of those ankle monitors. Listen, folks, let me put you on to something. Do you not think for a second that an ankle monitor could not have a microphone in it listening to the things that you're doing? Just, turn it on, tap in, and listen. And all of a sudden, you've got, probation or parole listening in to your private conversations, your private moments. People talk. I mean, these people communicate through these ankle monitors. There's absolutely microphone. There's a microphone. There's a speaker. There's a fucking GPS locate chip on these ankle monitors. If you think doing something on an ankle monitor is a smart thing to do, somebody needs to slap you upside the head. Again, Pooh Shiesty wasn't even out 6 months. They linked him using the data from his ankle monitor, license plate readers. I'm sure they hit the tollway in Dallas, okay? And social media posts. Hours after the robbery, we also have social media photos and videos of them flaunting the stolen jewelry. Now, it is said that the victims in this case came to Dallas, and one of them, so the three people, there was three victims total. One of them was Gucci Mane. A second one was an undercover police officer. And the third one was a cameraman that was with Gucci. They came to conduct legitimate business, and they were met with firearms and violence. The U.S. attorney that has charged all 9 of these folks is named Ryan Raybould. And, again, they've been charged federally. Now, you all know the feds never take a case unless they know they're going to beat it. They have a amazing conviction rate. It's sickening how high their conviction rate is. Again, we're talking about life imprisonment here. They've been charged with kidnapping, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, robbery. We're talking Lontrell Williams Jr., Pooh Shiesty, Lontrell Williams Sr., his father, Rodney Wright Jr., Big 30, Kadarius Waters, Terrence Rogers, Damarian Gibson, DeMarcus Glover, Corday Johnson, and Darian McDaniel. Let me ask you something. Do any of them even need to flip based on the evidence that the authorities have on this situation? What was Pooh Shiesty thinking? There's certain ways to handle things, There's certain ways to handle things. I think we all could have figured out relatively easily that he wouldn't have want to have been on Gucci Mane's record label anymore, especially again after the incident with Scar passing away and that whole flustering situation, right, with the family. Forcing someone in distress to sign to release you from a contract is never a solution, okay? It's not a solution. Now, I want to take a moment because these press conferences are very informational. This one's about 15 minutes, and we are going to take a look at it. I want to hear what, excuse my French, what them white folks are thinking, okay? So let's take a look and listen in. I want to hear this presser, and let's get some additional information.
I'm Ryan Raybould. I'm the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Texas. Thank you for coming. This week, 9 individuals, including well-known musical artists, kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint numerous victims at a music studio in Dallas, Texas. 8 of the 9 were arrested yesterday in Dallas, Memphis, and Nashville. These individuals who are charged and arrested include Lontrell Williams Jr., also known as Pooh Shiesty, Lontrell Williams Sr., Rodney Wright Jr., also known as Big 30, Kadarius Waters, Damarian Gibson, DeMarcus Glover, Corday Johnson, Darian McDaniel, and Terrence Rogers has not been arrested yet, but will be soon. The complaint alleges that on January 10th of this year, 3 music industry professionals traveled to Dallas for a scheduled business meeting. Lontrell Williams Jr. arranged this meeting purportedly to discuss the terms of his recording contract with one of the victims. As alleged, once these 3 men were inside the recording studio, Williams Jr. and 8 co-conspirators, several of whom traveled from Memphis, Tennessee, executed a coordinated armed takeover. As alleged, Williams Jr. produced an AK-style pistol and forced one of the victims to sign a release from the recording contract at gunpoint. The remaining conspirators displayed firearms and robbed the other victims of Rolex watches, jewelry, cash, and other high-value items. One of the victims was actually choked by one of the defendants to the point of near unconsciousness. Defendant Wright barricaded the studio door with his body to prevent the victims from escaping. The ringleader of the conspiracy, Lontrell Williams Jr., was on home confinement at the time of the offense, as alleged, for a prior firearms conspiracy charge and conviction out of the Southern District of Florida. Towards the end of his prison sentence, he had been granted home detention. Part of the terms of his home detention were that he would not commit another federal offense or possess a firearm. His father, Lontrell Williams Sr., is alleged to have helped plan and execute the federal kidnapping as charged in the complaint. And as described further in the complaint, within hours of leaving the Dallas studio, a number of the defendants were on social media displaying some of the items that appeared to be the jewelry that had been robbed from the victims. The charging document outlines some of the evidence, just some, establishing the defendants' roles in the federal offense. This is as follows: electronic monitoring data placing Williams Jr. at the offense location, which would put him in violation of his home detention conditions. Cell phone records and license plate reader data corroborating the coordinated travel of multiple defendants from Memphis, Tennessee to Dallas. Rental car records confirming Williams Sr. rented a vehicle that was used by the group. Surveillance footage from the offense location, a nearby office supply store, and a hotel where several of the defendants stayed following the offense. Fingerprint evidence as well that was recovered from the crime scene, matching at least two of the defendants. Social media posts by defendants displaying what appears to be stolen property just in the days following the offense. Greyhound bus records confirming the travel of multiple defendants from Dallas to Memphis the day after the offense. In this case, came to Dallas to conduct legitimate business, and they were met with firearms and violence as alleged in the charging document. This case should serve as a warning to others who believe that using violence and intimidation tactics to rob others in our community is a viable way to conduct business. I'm here to say that it is not, and that if you choose to do this, we will, together with our law enforcement partners here and the other ones in the Northern District of Texas, will bring you swiftly to justice. I want to thank the FBI Dallas Violent Crimes Task Force, the FBI's Memphis Resident Agency and Nashville Field Office, the Memphis Safe Task Force, the Dallas Police Department, the United States Attorney for the Western District of Tennessee, Michael Dunovit, and AUSA Greg Wagner, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Texas, my dear friend and colleague Jay Combs, and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Tennessee, including my colleague Braden Busek, for their outstanding contributions in this multi-jurisdictional investigation and prosecution. I'd also like to highlight the extraordinary work. None of this happens without the extraordinary work of our AUSAs in this office, and I'm here to say we have the best AUSAs in the entire country. That includes AUSAs Robert Withers, Claire Demers, and my violent crime chief, Jeremy Fugate. This case really underscores the importance of standing up for crime victims, no matter who they are or where they come from, and the incredible collaborative, investigative partnerships that we have, not only in the Northern District of Texas, but across the country. And we are all working together to make our country safer. So thank you for being here today, and I'll answer some questions after my colleague here speaks. But now I'm going to turn it over to him, and this is Jeremy Wright, who's the Dallas FBI Assistant Special Agent in charge.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Good morning, everybody. As Ryan said, my name is Jeremy Wright, Assistant Special Agent in charge for FBI Dallas. As United States Attorney Raybould said, we're here today to announce the arrest of several individuals in the Memphis and Nashville, Tennessee areas, as long as one here in Frisco, Texas. These arrests are the result of a violent kidnapping of 3 individuals here in the Dallas area. The majority of those arrested did travel from Memphis to Dallas to commit that offense. Our office collaborated with multiple law enforcement agencies and other FBI offices to carry out this investigation that ultimately led to these arrests. So I'd like to thank the Dallas Violent Crimes Task Force, Dallas Police Department, the Memphis Safe Task Force, Memphis, Tennessee Police Department, and the Shelby County, Tennessee Sheriff's Department for helping with this investigation. Violent crime does remain a top priority for the FBI, and we dedicated significant resources from here in Dallas FBI, Nashville, Little Rock, Birmingham, and Atlanta FBI offices to investigate and successfully arrest these individuals. We remain committed to investigating violent crimes like these. No matter who you are, we will fight every day alongside our partners to make our communities safer. So thank you.
And we have time for some questions. If you would just identify who you were with and your name would be helpful. Yes, sir.
Kevin Reese with WFAA.
Hi, Kevin.
It may be in the release that you're going to send us, but can you be more specific to who these victims are and a specific location of this studio that you were talking about?
I'll answer the last part first. Yes, it'll be in the complaint, and we're happy to get you a copy of that. It's now unsealed. It was off Dallas Parkway in Dallas, Texas, a music studio. That's what's identified in the complaint. As far as victims go, we won't get into at this time who the victims are or not.
Chase with the Dallas Morning News. Can you describe the injuries suffered by the 3 victims?
So one of the victims, and this is actually in the complaint, and we'll get you a copy as well. There's a photograph of the injury. It looks like there's some abrasions on the neck and arm.
You were still seeking one suspect, you said.
One of the individuals that's been charged has not had his initial appearance yet, but agents are actively working to locate and bring him to court.
And I wanted to touch on that actually. Eric Bushman, KRLD.
Listen, before they go to the rest of the questions, I've got to pause here and say something. The location that he just said, off Dallas Parkway. For those of you that are not familiar with Dallas, you need to understand something about Dallas Parkway. That is a toll road. Each toll you go through, there are cameras that take your photo, front and back of your vehicle, and can see you in the car too, right? So I'm quite sure that location, especially with it being right off the tollway, when they mention in the complaint that license plate identification was also used, I'm pretty sure that's where it came from. Anyway, let's continue.
Since there's one person you're still trying to get to come in, I guess it's not an arrest, since it's initial appearance, you would say that you're trying to work out. Because you're going public with this, are you afraid at all that that's going to hinder it eventually getting an individual in?
Agents are working to find him. The complaint has already been unsealed, and a number of these defendants have had their public hearing already, their initial appearance, and so it's already out there that this individual has been charged, and so that information is in the public record. But I trust that the agents will be able to identify this person and find them and bring them to justice. Of course, that person can turn themselves in immediately.
2 questions. This is Chase with the Dallas Morning News again. So the initial incident happens in January 10th. We're here in April. Can you describe the timeline and the length of time, you know, why we're talking about this now? Because it sounds like these arrests happened recently. And then the second part of that question, did all of the arrests happen yesterday, or were they happening over the span of time that we're talking about?
Yeah, good questions. I'll start with the last part. 8 of the 9 happened yesterday, and then we're still working on one more. And that was, again, a lot of those happened in Memphis. One happened in Nashville, and we're working now with our Georgia counterparts to get the last person brought to justice. Do you want to ask another question, follow up to that?
Actually, I forgot the answer. We'll come back after you.
Okay, and remind me of your first part, sir.
We had the initial incident on January 10th,
Yep.
here April 2nd. Can you describe and kind of characterize why, you know, that amount of time passed before they were arrested?
Well, that was one of the reasons I wanted to list off some of the evidence that has been uncovered to date. A lot of this was subpoena work, search warrant work, and things like that in order to develop the investigation. And so the agents here with me, the agents out in the field, it takes a little bit of time to identify who did this offense and build a case so that we feel comfortable bringing the charges. So actually that's pretty quickly for a federal case of this gravity and this nature. And so I'm very proud of the investigative work, and it will continue from this office as well as our FBI and our local police department.
If convicted of these charges, these arrests, how serious are these crimes? What do these people face?
They're facing a range. So there's no mandatory minimum in this case. It's a range of punishment, and it'll be in the province of the judge, whoever gets the case. But it could be from 0 all the way to life imprisonment. And as you know, a lot of what will guide what's called the sentencing guidelines will be the individual's previous criminal history, the fact that one of these individuals committed the offense while on home confinement, so actually serving a federal offense, assuming that individual is convicted, that will be an aggravating factor for sure.
Real quick, I was curious. I know you're being quiet so far on the victims here, but could you at least tell us, outside of them being local to Dallas, were they aspiring artists? Are they known locally or even nationally? Can you at least tell us that?
I'm not going to get into the victim stuff at this time. I think that more will be coming out there that will help clarify, but I'm not at liberty at this stage of the investigation to disclose that.
And then can you describe the operation to conduct all of those arrests? I imagine they were in different places. Maybe they all happened around the same time. I'm not sure.
I'm going to hand that one off to my colleague here, Jeremy Wright.
Yeah, thank you for the question. It requires a lot of partnerships across multiple jurisdictions to be able to conduct simultaneous arrests in a manner, to not alert other folks and to do it safely. So really, it's just a coordinated effort. And fortunately, we have great relationships here locally with Dallas PD and our other partners, as well as other FBI offices have the similar relationships. Memphis is unique. They have the Memphis Safe Task Force there currently, which was kind of a help in a lot of this. So it's really just coordination and pre-planning.
And a follow-up to that. So were all of the arrests in Memphis or?
No, Memphis, we had one in Frisco, Texas yesterday morning. The rest were in Memphis. And as the U.S. Attorney said, we're actively pursuing the final arrest.
Yeah. Did you have another question, sir?
KDFW, mugshots, is there any out somewhere where we can get that?
I think that becomes public record, but I'm not sure. If I could follow up with you right after, Catherine, if you would get to make sure that we get that information over there. Thank you for coming. If there are any further questions, I just want to underscore the importance here in Northern District of Texas of vigorously prosecuting violent crime. And a couple days ago, I did a press conference in Fort Worth, Texas, but it just highlights the collaboration. The state, local police are some of our best friends and best partners. Chief Como is a dear friend and partner of this office and has been fantastic for us, working with some of the best in the business, the FBI. And I'm just really honored to stand shoulder to shoulder with the men and women in my office. So again, we look forward to prosecuting this case vigorously. And if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to Catherine Miller. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. All right, folks. So
I'm Chris Hansen,
listen,
right now on Crime Watch Daily from
hold
here in
that
New York.
Because I want to go here. I want to take a look at, this is what is published out there on the DOJ's website. I'll drop a link in the live chat for those of you that may want to go look at this for yourself. But as you can see here, these are some images, okay, of injuries sustained to the wrist and neck of one of the victims. Now, again, I mentioned this in the very beginning that one of the people that was with Gucci Mane security was an undercover police officer. Or I shouldn't say undercover. He's a police officer doing private work for private security work, okay? Ignore the undercover part. I don't know why I said that. I guess it kind of makes me think undercover, but there's a lot of police officers that do private security work, and obviously Gucci Mane has some former police officers doing security work. Typically, that's the realm of individuals that you'll hire to do that type of work. And that was one of the victims. So number one, there's going to be a duty to report. Okay. Gucci Mane, I know some people are out there saying things like, oh, he's a rat. He told it, blah, 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 blah. Man, please. There was 3 people that this happened to. It doesn't necessarily have to have been Gucci Mane. Gucci Mane doesn't have to have, it's not confirmed at all that Gucci Mane has even talked to FBI or the Department of Justice. You've seen the U.S. Attorney there very clearly say he wasn't even going to get into the the details of the victim information, because he knows how sensitive this is. So you have the cameraman, the security guy, and then Gucci. So you got people getting choked out to the point of unconsciousness. You got people getting their jewelry taken from them. They don't have that same so-called street requirement that that you all try to put on Gucci, blah 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 blah, to not tell or tell. Number two, Gucci Mane is a father of children now. Okay, things change when you have children, when you become a family man, when you take on the responsibility of a wife, and you start having children. Your life really means something different to you at that point than it may have meant when you were only 20, 25, 30 years old, trying to find your way through life. I followed Gucci Mane his whole career. So, I know how some of you all are coming at this. But imagine you go legit. All right. You go legit. You become a record label owner. You fly, you get out, you leave your home, you leave your family, you get on a plane, you come to Dallas to do business with one of your employees, so to speak. And that employee pulls an AK-47 on you, takes your wedding ring, allegedly, your Rolex, your necklaces, puts your life in danger, threatens to kill you, blah, blah, blah. It's also rumored that there is video footage of this. Now, Seti Nash, okay, if you got the video, just drop it. Stop talking, okay, Seti? I don't want to hear you talk about you got this video and you're not dropping it, especially now, okay? Especially as of today. You say you're in the streets, and I know you want all the views and stuff, then drop the video already if you really, really got it, okay? But there is surveillance footage that also puts these individuals. So, Gucci Mane is a father, a family man. He's 48 years old. Again, things change. What he was like 20 years ago to now, this man went legit. He's making music. He's trying to build this label, 1017. He's trying to do things the legit way. He's had his troubles with the law, So again, there was 3 victims. We don't know who is talking to the FBI, but I highly doubt that Gucci Mane was the first to run to them. If Gucci Mane has talked to the FBI, I guarantee you, he was the last one, and I'm sure they would have knocked on his door to talk to him. That's what I'm thinking, okay? After it would have been reported, potentially, by one of the other 2 victims of this crime. How Pooh Shiesty thought he would be able to pull this off, I'll never understand. To take somebody by force, by gun, with Drake's AK-47s. Apparently 2 people had AK-47s. To take someone by force and force them to sign a contract or to release you from your contract, your music contract that you signed. I'm sure that was reviewed by lawyers. I don't understand how Pooh Shiesty thought that was going to work. You can't force someone to release you from a contract using distress. That's just never going to fly. And those those contracts in music get really crazy, I don't know what the details of Pooh Shiesty's contract was, but just like an example, the record label mogul could say, I want 6 records out of you by the next 3 years, to complete your contract. And they put all these other stipulations, et cetera, et cetera. it's always going to be in the interest of the mogul, you know, to the interest of their record label. Number one, to make money, period. Okay. So I wonder in my mind, we don't know if Gucci Mane would have released Pooh Shiesty from the contract willingly. We just don't know. We don't have that information. We don't know that information. Again, I think it would have been very sensitive and very much so testy waters, being the fact Scar passed. That was Pooh Shiesty's family member, and many people in Scar's family felt that his death wasn't handled how they wanted it to be handled. They wanted Gucci Mane to pay for his funeral. I have a different type of opinion on that. Scar was a grown man. Scar passed away from a self-inflicted situation. Drugs, I believe it was an overdose. Give me just a sec, folks. Stand by just a second. Yeah, I wanted to bring up the details. It was a prescription drug overdose. It was he was 22 when he died, and it was labeled an accidental prescription drug overdose. He was at his girlfriend's house. Now, again, why would Gucci Mane have a responsibility to pay for his funeral? He was a grown man with money and all of that. I mean, that's like me dying and then saying, hey, whoever I work for, say I work for McDonald's or something. That's like me passing away and saying McDonald's is responsible to pay to bury me. And so, usually people have life insurance policies and things like that to help, take care of those type of situations when they happen. It's a horrible thing. It's awful that he passed away so young. We know fentanyl has been eating our nation up. It's been literally eating our nation up, eating people up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Lots of people, famous people even, passing away from, not only fentanyl-laced overdoses, but just prescription drug overdoses just in general. So, there's a lot of different opinions, I think, that could be said about the responsibility of an employer when someone dies, right? I don't know if life insurance is something that these record labels, force their people to get when they sign up for these record deals. I know I've heard things about record label moguls getting life insurance policies out on their artists. I have definitely heard of that. But, I think it would be very smart if record labels sort of put clauses in these contracts to try to help guide these people to have, money in retirement, to do responsible things with the money that they're going to make from these huge multi-million-dollar contracts, potentially multi-million-dollar contracts. Now, this is one of the photos of an injury suffered to one of the victims. We can tell by the photo that's not Gucci Mane, right? But he's clearly got injuries on his neck and his wrist. To us, that looks very minor, but to the law enforcement officers, they see that, and it's aggravated, okay? This was going to be an aggravated type case, aggravated type situation, just based on the fact you lured someone, all the way from a totally different state. Again, this is a multi-state investigation. And then you pull AK-47s on them. I mean, that right there, it's again aggravated armed robbery, right? And all this planning that had to go into it. I mean, think about it. Pooh Shiesty's sitting in Dallas. He just got out of prison. This is, literally just got out of prison. And then boom, he's going to sit down with the mogul of his record label. These men came from Memphis, came from Memphis to Dallas to do this. Did they know what they was getting themselves into? I don't know. We'll figure that out as each of their cases progress. But when we talk about, the planning, okay, they really feel like even Pooh Shiesty's father helped plan and execute this federal kidnapping. Now here's the thing, right? It's always social media that gets these people, okay? It's always social media, okay? I've been waiting for photos to come out. Been waiting for photos to come out of photos of a 1017 chain. I'm not even going to lie to you. And the reason why, because that's the numero uno thing. The number one thing that people, in that community, I should say, in that world, getting a chain that belongs to someone super famous because they personalize those chains, is a flex, right? So we've seen people get robbed. People, put the chain on and take photos and put it on social media. That has been a thing. And so I've been waiting to see some 1017 chains, on snap screenshots, etc. out here. And I never did see any. It was super duper quiet, but apparently some of these men did go, post videos / photos on social media wearing the stolen jewelry. Now, this is a Rolex that was stolen. This is one of the men that's alleged. That is Terrence Rogers. And we heard, in the press conference, they're actually still looking for him. They have not arrested or located him quite yet. But that is him wearing one of the Rolexes. I mean, God, right? Just so dumb. And then we've got Mr. Glover here. And we can clearly see that is a 1017 chain. I know that font, you can clearly see that is a 1017 chain. Truth be told, Glover, this guy here, had never even heard of him. Jamarcus Glover had never even heard of this guy until today. So even though he did all of that and posted himself with the chain, he's been underground, I guess, because he's gotten. I mean, that's what they do, y'all. And then of course we see a watch. Now I hear Gucci Mane's wedding ring was taken. Don't know how true that is. I did see that Gucci Mane did make a post after a lot of bloggers were talking about this back in January. I think it was a very strategic post. But guys, how are you going to take a 1017 chain and go and sell it? Again, that's not you. There's a lot of times that's not really the goal. But I think eventually somebody's going to want to get some money out the situation. The only way, especially Gucci Mane's big old ring, they would have had to have broke that ring down diamond by diamond and selling it. How are you going to walk into a place and pawn $1 million wedding ring? There's only, you could literally, easily take a photo of the ring, put it in Google Images, and it's going to come right back to Gucci. So there's no way they would have been able to just go pawn it or go sell it. But whatever. Here's screenshots from Glover's social media depicting him wearing a watch and a 1017 chain. Now, again, outlined in the complaint. All right. This is the evidence, and it's a I was going to say a shiesty list, but listen, we've got electronic monitoring that places Pooh Shiesty at the offense location in violation of his home detention conditions. Listen, white folks don't like that. Oh, they don't like that. You're on house arrest. You got an ankle monitor on. You're not where you're supposed to be. You heard me in the beginning tell you that these ankle monitors have speakers, microphones, and GPS chips. How do you think, if you're 5 minutes late to getting home from work or school or something, and you're on an ankle monitor, and all of a sudden they're talking to you through your ankle monitor, where are you at? You're supposed to be at home. I need you to tell me where you are right now. Or when you press the button and you call them and say, hey, I'm running late, I ran into traffic, or I ran into this or that, whatever the case may be, you are speaking to them, which takes a microphone. They are speaking back to you, which is a speaker that you're hearing them on. Some people just, I don't know why they don't put two and two together. When you have an ankle monitor on, you're like you might as well, your location's literally being tracked live 24/7. Seriously, it's like pulling up an Uber screen or a Lyft and watching you move around, what street you're on, we're talking about to a degree of 10, how accurate you can pinpoint, geolocate somebody with these ankle monitors. I'm not even kidding. Even with the alcohol sensors that they put in these cars that make people blow, into these cars in order to start them. If you think those don't have GPS speakers and mics in them, don't forget that our CIA developed a method to turn a speaker into a microphone on televisions and have a method, the smart TVs that connect to the internet. Boom, connect to that smart TV, make the speaker a mic while the television is off. It's listening. Yeah. So I don't understand what Pooh Shiesty was thinking. I really, really, really don't understand. Cell phone records and license plate reader data corroborating the coordinated travel of multiple defendants from Memphis to Dallas. Rental car records confirming that Pooh Shiesty's father rented a vehicle that was used by the group. The license plate reader data, I know that came from the toll cameras. Again, this happened right off of Dallas Parkway. That is the toll. Dallas Parkway is Dallas North Tollway, okay? Surveillance footage, not only from the offense location, there was also surveillance footage pulled from a nearby office supply store and a hotel where several defendants stayed following the offense. So they've been able to track their movements even after the armed robbery occurred down to the hotel they were staying at. Latent fingerprints recovered from the crime scene that matched two of the defendants. Again, the social media posts, it's like just giving the feds, it's like just, bending over and pulling your pants down and saying, poke me, basically, when you all do that. You guys got to stop committing crimes and posting the evidence on the internet. And then, of course, Greyhound bus records confirming the travel of multiple defendants from Dallas to Memphis the day after the offense. So you mean to tell me that you bring, 7 dudes from Memphis and then you send them home on a Greyhound? God, there is a very big Greyhound station in downtown Dallas too. And I know Memphis, there is a route that goes from Dallas to Memphis every single day that leaves Dallas via the Greyhound office. So, I mean, we're talking January. It's April the 2nd. This happened January the 10th. February, March, not even 3 months. Wait, January to February, March. Yeah, not even 3 months. A full 3 months, a full 90 days. And we're talking about 9 people being charged, criminally. So, yeah. Again, all defendants are presumed innocent until proven guilty. But, I don't feel that way about our Justice Department. I feel like many of us are guilty before being proven innocent. Anyway, that's the deal. And there will be more to come. Now, I was listening to Academics over there, and he had Hernandez Govan. And we know his name being affiliated or tied to Young Dolph. And he was over there talking about the situation, in case with DJ Academics. It was interesting. You should probably check it out when you get a chance. I thought some of that background information was very interesting. But he's saying that there's something that's going to come out regarding the father very soon. So we'll see what that is. I don't know what that'll be, but we'll see, you all. It's crazy to think you're shooting to number 1. You're not even out 6 months and you do this. You all. More to come on this, guys. I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you all on the next live stream. Until next time.
The judgment sentence that you are an asshole. The trial is over. Thank you, everybody.
Let's play a game. You have 10 seconds to take all your stuff and get out of my life. 10, 9, 8.
God bless you, motherfucker.
You're really smart. Like really, really, really smart like I am.